It's the 40th anniversary of Scarface. There's no better time to revisit the gangster classic. But before you stream it or play the disc from your collection, get a load of some facts you probably didn't know about your favorite movie. Like, did you know that Scarface was almost a Martin Scorsese film? Or that Oliver Stone got on board only because the original director was someone else? Or did you know that the final decisions were made by Al Pacino? Why? Well, he helped develop it. This was his baby. Scarface was wild on screen, but behind the scenes, some pretty crazy things happened as well. We're presenting a behind-the-scenes look at one of the greatest gangster movies of all time. Here are 11 facts you probably didn't know about Scarface. Scarface is a remake. That's right. The Brian De Palma gangster classic is a remake, loosely based on director Howard Hawks' 1932 film also called Scarface, and was produced by Hawks together with Howard Hughes. Set in Chicago, Hawks' film is about how Prohibition gave rise to the Mafia. The film centers around legendary mobster Al Capone of the Chicago outfit, whose nickname was Scarface, and who served as the original inspiration for the film. De Palma's 1983 film is set in Miami, and, similarly, is about the war on drugs and how it gave rise to the South drug empires and their kingpins. It was Hollywood star Al Pacino, a big fan of the original, who had the idea for a remake of the old black and white. He pitched the idea to producer Martin Bregman, seeing so much potential in a remake. As for the details of the film, neither De Palma's nor screenwriter Oliver Stone got the idea to set it in Miami and make it about a Cuban immigrant, but that of another director. The movie may have reused the same Scarface, but it is mentioned only once, and it's in Spanish. Screenwriter Oliver Stone thought it would be too basic, too unoriginal to write the movie title in the dialogue, so he made Hector, one of the bad guys in the chainsaw scene, say cara cicatriz. Al Pacino didn't have to speak Spanish for the film. Many Spanish speakers are already thankful for that, as Pacino's accent has been the butt of Spanish accent jokes. But the actor went to great lengths to deliver a convincing portrayal of Cuban immigrant Tony Montana. Extremely committed to his role, Pacino insisted on the film's director of photography, John A. Alonzo, to speak to him only in Spanish. Pacino even had a dialect coach and asked fellow actor Stephen Bauer, the only Cuban in the cast, to help him with his accent. Pacino's commitment extended beyond his speaking role. He trained on how to handle a knife and got into shape by working with world-class professional boxer Robert Duran. He wasn't the only actor that had to tailor their physicality for the role. More on that later. Cuban drug kingpin Tony Montana may have overindulged in cocaine, but it is Al Pacino who truly suffered for it. The prop cocaine was made of baby laxatives, one source claims. Another says it was powdered milk. Of course, there were also rumors that it was real cocaine. It was the 80s. It is something De Palma has neither confirmed nor denied. Regardless, Pacino says that what he had snorted on set, whatever it was, has left things in there and has permanently damaged his nose. The only real cocaine connected to the movie was the screenwriter's addiction to it, which we'll get into in part 2. The prop cocaine may have hurt the actor in the long term, but other props mishaps actually shut down production for a week or two. In the filming of the famous machine gun scene, where Tony tells the henchman invading his home, "Say hello to my little friend," one account says Pacino fell and his hand landed on the barrel of his prop gun. But Pacino himself had said he had grabbed the barrel and his hand stuck to it. It had been firing several rounds and was piping hot. Pacino scorched his hand and was in recovery for weeks, skipping some of the action scenes towards the end of the film. The bad burn wasn't his only injury. Actress Michelle Pfeiffer threw plates, and one of the shards cut Pacino's hand. She sees blood dripping on the floor, and thinking it's hers, she panics. When she sees it's Pacino's, she panics even more, realizing she had just cut this huge Hollywood star. What do you think went through Pacino's mind at that moment? Do you think Pacino said to himself, "See? I knew it. We shouldn't have cast Pfeiffer in this role"? If you did, you may be right. Maybe. Because Pacino did not want the unknown actress to play Elvira. Oh, we'll definitely go deeper into that. But there's something you may not have known about the film's prop guns. Some very special effects were used that aren't seen in many action movies. You see, the production team rigged the prop guns with a custom mechanism. The purpose was to sync the gunfire with an open movie camera lens. The result? a more visible muzzle flash, a more consistent stream of ammo fire. It was the kind of movie magic rarely ever seen in most action movies today. Guns were the most lethal weapons in Scarface, but they weren't the only way to die. Together with stabbing and a helicopter hanging, the movie has an impressive kill count of 44, with Tony on top of the world claiming 26. Pacino may have gotten the ball rolling on the remake, but it turns out that during the development, the lead role was still up in the air. Sources say that De Palma wanted Robert De Niro for the lead. Others say the actor turned it down due to the amount of cocaine involved. Still, one source says that Pacino's good friend and fellow Godfather alum had encouraged him to go ahead and work with De Palma, because if Pacino didn't, De Niro would take the role for himself and make it with Martin Scorsese. What do you think Scarface would have been like with De Niro and Scorsese instead? If you really want to know, you're not alone. It's a question the group of friends have thought about too. Pacino took his friend's advice, thankfully. Not that he had to worry. Tony Montana was in the bag the moment he decided he wanted the role. For the rest of the cast, actors got their parts in various ways. For actor Steven Bauer, the role of Manny nearly went to John Travolta. Not that Bauer wasn't perfect for the role. On the contrary, he was chosen even before he auditioned, and he was the only one who De Palma and Bregman totally agreed with. Bauer not only looked perfect as Manny, but he was also the only Cuban actor in the principal cast. Do you think Travolta would have played a better Manny? As one of the producers, Pacino had only himself to convince in order to get the lead role. It wasn't so easy for Michelle Pfeiffer, who would end up playing Elvira after a long and grueling audition process. Several big names were first considered, with Glenn Close as the first choice. Studio executives, however, thought she didn't have the right look. You've seen Elvira. You know the look. Rich, bored, high on coke. A glamorous gold digger with what I believe women like to call a resting bitch face. Sigourney Weaver, Gina Davis, Kelly McGillis, Melanie Griffith, and even Carrie Fisher all didn't have the right look either. Other names including Sharon Stone and Dutch actress Sylvia Kristel made it to the shortlist. After several auditions, Pacino still wasn't too thrilled with her. You must understand that Pfeiffer had a string of flops to her name. She was a complete gamble. After only one particularly bad situation, she was sent home, but was unexpectedly called back. Pfeiffer made a total boss move by flat out turning them down. Well, she would go through with one more audition. The audition was real gangster too, because it's where she made Pacino bleed. On producer Bregman's assistance, Pfeiffer got the part, and thanks to her and costume designer Patricia Norris, Elvira remains memorable to this day, as well as a fashion icon. Celebrities Rita Ora, Jennifer Aniston, Rihanna, Amy Adams, Zendaya, and Kaya Gerber, and fashion brands Versace and Donna Karan are but a few who have been inspired by the head-turning Pfeiffer and her on-screen character. But too much attention has been paid to how she looks or being the producer's last choice. Not enough have taken note of her hard work behind the scenes. Pfeiffer proved Pacino wrong and turned out to be as dedicated to her craft as the rest of them. Like many actors before her, and many more since, Pfeiffer drastically lost weight for her role as Elvira. So much weight, in fact, that it alarmed crew members, who ended up handing her bagels on the set. But unlike other actors who lose weight for a starring role, Pfeiffer fully committed to it in spite of her limited screen time. She went on a dreadful diet of soup and cigarettes to achieve the physicality of a real cocaine addict. Now, I'm not even going to ask if they should have gone with Glenn Close. But if you had to choose, who would you rather have played Elvira? Come back for part 2, where we'll give you more behind-the-scenes facts, including Oliver Stone, Steven Spielberg, and Eddie Murphy, and something just as good as a kill count.